So, as some of you know, I've started learning to code a little less than 3 years ago. And I have had my YouTube channel for almost the same time. This means I have been making videos since pretty much the beginning of my whole learning journey. And I also very quickly focused pretty much exclusively on making tutorials. So this means I have never really worked on a real app. I've never worked as a programmer in a company. I've never created a real big app myself. I mean, I created some very small ones in the beginning, but you can barely call them apps. And after I created my channel, I actually quickly got a lot of offers for different freelance jobs through the contact form of codingandflow.com. This is the website of the Coding and Flow YouTube channel. But since I wanted to focus on making tutorials for now, I actually put a little text on there that said, I'm currently not interested in taking any freelance jobs. And then it pretty much stopped for the most part. But now I think it's time for me to actually gain some real world experience because, to be honest, at the moment I barely consider myself a programmer at all. I mean, I read documentation, I read blog posts, and then I create tutorials about very small parts, about very specific APIs. But I don't create programs, so I don't really consider myself a programmer at the moment. But I want to change that, especially since the coding part is really the part that I enjoy the most. Not the theory, not the reading and learning, but actually coding, like typing and trying to fix problems. I think that can be really enjoyable and really satisfying. So what I did was I removed this text box on my website and instead put a text box on there that said that I am currently interested in taking freelance projects. And after I did this about 2 weeks ago, I actually got a lot of offers really quickly. I would say probably one per day on average. Of course, not all of them were serious ones. Some of them had really unrealistic expectations when it comes to how much effort it takes to create a project. Some of them wanted really big projects that would take an entire team to build. And they often didn't have a budget, basically. But there were like 2 or 3 good ones between them, and I agreed to work on one of them. And I've actually already started. I've already been working on it a little bit. I didn't record anything yet because I was still trying to figure out how I approach this whole video series. This kind of video is new for me. Usually I don't speak in front of the camera. And I also noticed that trying to record myself while I am coding and while I am trying to focus is really not as easy as I imagined it. The place where I live is also not very quiet. I'm still trying to figure out how I will record this video series and how I will approach this. And it's very possible that this whole series will be boring, at least in the beginning, but it's better than nothing. Let's just try and see how it goes. Okay, so and of course I told the client that I don't have any real experience yet, so I didn't pretend that I'm a experienced programmer. I told him I have never built a real app, I've never worked on a real project, just so he knows what he signs up for. But since he knows my videos and he knows that I can learn stuff, and he trusts me because I have built a little bit of reputation for myself, he was still willing to work with me and he was still very happy to work with me. And I think this is really one of the big benefits of having a YouTube channel or a blog or some way to market yourself. Because I think this is the best way to really attract good clients, basically. Now, since I don't have any real experience yet and I don't want the client to pay a lot of money for my whole learning process, I actually offered him to work for $10 per hour for now. Now, he didn't ask this from me, but I offered him because at the moment I don't feel comfortable taking a lot of money. But it's not something I want to do long term. I think $10 is probably on the very low end. And with time, when I think I have more experience, I want to go a bit higher. But $10 is fine for now. I'm also making some income through this YouTube channel, so making some extra money through freelancing is definitely a nice bonus. But right now, first and foremost, I'm interested in learning. And so far it was really fun. The project is hosted on Bitbucket, not GitHub. I think Bitbucket is like for private projects, whereas GitHub is more for open source. I have also never used Git before. This is also something I have no experience yet, but the client showed me how all the basic stuff works, and so far it has been fun. Of course, I will also go through some tutorials and learn a bit by myself, but it doesn't seem very complicated. I also already wrote a little bit of code. It was some Firestore code, and as you may know, I have a Firestore video series, so this came easy to me. Although I didn't remember much of it, so I had to look up my own tutorial. But I mean, that's what documentation and tutorials are for. No point in memorizing all this stuff. One more interesting thing is that the client wants me to sign an NDA. That's a non-disclosure agreement. This is pretty much there to make sure that I don't disclose his business idea, because theoretically I could take and steal it, and of course he has to make sure that I don't do that. So I signed that. Tomorrow I will get it notarized. I was also trying to figure out if it's really that essential to have a contract, like from my side. The client seems very nice and he seems very willing to pay in short intervals. So right now I don't really feel the need for a contract. But I have seen many opinions online that say that you should definitely get a contract. So maybe some of you that are more experienced than me can write in the comments below if it's fine to work without a contract, or if I definitely need one. It's definitely some extra work because I guess I have to go to a lawyer for that, at least if I want a solid one. That's all for now. As said, I'm not entirely sure yet how I will approach this video series, because of course I can also not show and record the entire code, because this way I would break the NDA. But I will try to record parts of it and little steps maybe. I will talk about my experience, and this is not the only kind of video I want to make. So I also want to make other types of videos. So if you find this one boring, don't worry about it. I will also try to upload other stuff. Okay, so take care.